We survived Thanksgiving and we are back after a little mini holiday hiatus. Some people's rubbing their bellies, some people smiling, and some people not so happy. But with that being said, welcome to the welcome to the Sports Bros Podcast. This be your boy Eddy Kool, the HOC, the head of creative here. And of course, you know I can't do this by myself. I have not only one, but two of the best co-hosts in the world. Introducing first, the almighty Be Live.
What's happening? What's going on in the world today? I ain't the best at nothing right now. I mean, we are the best in the ACC, but it don't even matter. We didn't win our state. It's been quite a ride since 2014. But it is what it is. That's why you see the HOC over there just decked out and garnered in black. And y'all probably already seen me with the Jordan crying face, and this is where I'm at right now. So yeah. But it's okay. It's all right. We're ACC champions, and our future is bright. And go ahead and introduce the other guy. And you know who is we in this? He didn't jump off the bandwagon too. Go ahead and introduce him, and we'll
we won. We won the big game.
And the voice you're hearing, he is the pride of Washington, Pennsylvania. He is the assistant athletic director at the Trinity High School, the one, the only, the money man, Scottie D.
It's beginning to look. Wait a minute, hold on.
What are you doing?
Oh, Jesus H. Christ.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. Hey, guys, we're closing in on it. Well, actually, I think we got, like 3 shows left of the year? We only got 3. So we are in the holiday spirit. We're in the holiday season. And college football gave us many gifts this past couple weeks since we last got together. NFL has given us some gifts these past couple weeks, and the World Cup was on. Before we go any further, though, I do want to say something really serious. Our good friend Unkle Max, who's been a listener of our show since the very beginning, we just kicked this thing off a couple years ago, is having some medical issues. He's in the hospital and he's going to have a surgery coming up that's going to be really serious. And we just wanted to tell you, we love you, man. We appreciate you. We hope that while you're sitting around a hospital bed, you can sit and listen to us and enjoy a little bit of normalcy and have fun as we talk sports, because we include you. You are part of what we do here, and we wish you a successful surgery and nothing but the best in your recovery. We love you, man. We're going to be praying for you. And I just want to start the show that way so we didn't forget to mention that as we get on in our college football or pro football or World Cup rants as we go forward. But Uncle Max, all the best, buddy.
A Hall of Famer, absolutely. I had it in my notes too because I was going to talk about him too. But yeah, our thoughts and prayers, absolutely. The original, the Uncle Max, that's with a K, Unkle. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir, man. We are definitely praying for you. Speedy recovery and back at it. Yes, sir.
Uncle Max, get well soon, buddy. We love you. And if you need anything from us here at the Sports Bros, do not hesitate to let us know. All right, with that being said, let's go ahead and hop right into it, the top of the order. All right, let's get this thing started. Here it is, the top of the order. This past week in the NFL gave us a lot, as Scottie D alluded to, all kind of gifts, and some people got presents, and some people wish they got a lump of coal. So with that being said, out of all the teams that played this weekend, which team took the best win and the worst loss? Be Live, I'll start with you.
All right. You know, there's a lot of ways to answer this question. And, you know, there's a lot of focus on the Eagles, a lot of focus on the Cowboys. But, man, they're nowhere close. Nowhere close. The biggest win of this week easily goes to the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals, man, they are a thorn in the side. They do not care about the legacy that follows one Patrick LaVon Mahomes II. They don't care. They don't care about the hype. They don't care about the $500 million contract. Joe Burrow is going to do Joe Burrow things, man. And they just continue, like, they don't care about the Super Bowl hangover. They don't care about none of that. They're doing what they did last season. And this win right here solidifies that, hey, they are a legitimate threat in the AFC. And on top of that, just watching Joe Burrow throw that pass to T. Higgins, all roads lead to Dabo. They ain't never going to go nowhere. Said what I said. In the midst of all that pressure was outstanding. And guess what? In the midst of all this, they continue to get even better because while Joe Mixon went out with a concussion, here comes Samaje Perine. Yo, now they got a two-headed monster at the running back position on top of the weapons that have at wide receiver and tight end. We need to watch out for the Cincinnati Bengals. I have a very strong. We were on the Buffalo Bills bandwagon. We might need to look at the Cincinnati Bengals. I got that from this week when it comes to the biggest win. When it comes
does that put Burrow back in the MVP race? Is it, or are he now in the candidate?
I think
quite possibly.
Yeah. I'll put him back up in there. I'll put him up there. Burrow. Josh Allen, he's thrown too many interceptions. I think right now it's Jalen Hurts win trophy to win at this moment of time. He's just I think he continues to get better. I think that but that Joe Burrow definitely. I'm putting him in that conversation for MVP because he's just I hate to say this as a Clemson fan, but he is Joe Cool. And you know what? I will not digress. Okay. Yes, I'm still deeply disturbed. That segment's coming up a little bit later with college football. Let me just stay on task, be live. Stay right where you're supposed to be. When it comes to the most damaging loss of this week, however, the Los Angeles Chargers. We keep trying to say Justin Herbert. He still has a 500 record. He is not a winning quarterback. He's not a losing quarterback. He is a 500 quarterback.
A good 500 quarterback at that.
Well, they'll say we keep saying he's good, but you have to win.
Yep.
You have to win. And I'm sorry, there in this one right here, you especially have to win the games you're supposed to win. And the Las Vegas Raiders that's a game you're supposed to win. And they didn't. And it doesn't get easier the next couple of weeks because they got the Miami Dolphins, which we never know what you're going to get with them and their high-powered offense. And then you got the Tennessee Titans that will run the ball down your throat. It's gonna be tough. Right now, if I was looking at their schedule, they end the season fairly easily with the Colts, Rams, and Broncos, but they're going to sit at 9-8 again. And 9-8 did not get them in the playoffs last year, and I don't think 9-8 is going to get them into the playoffs this year. And they were just going to still end up with a whole bunch of questions about Justin Herbert. We shall see, but yeah, they needed this win. They needed 7-5 as opposed to 6-6, and it could easily be 6-8. So. Chargers, Justin Herbert, you got too many weapons to not be good. I don't know. It is what it is. Keenan Allen's back. I think Mike Williams is still out, but they weren't supposed to lose this game. Scottie D, what? Go ahead and talk about your 50 burger. Just go ahead and get it out of the way. I know what you're going to say.
Nah, that wasn't the biggest win of the week. I mean. They didn't. It would have been maybe had the Eagles lost and it gave the Cowboys a chance to make up some ground. But that's a game the Cowboys should have won, and it's a game they should have blown a team out, and that's what happened. So it to me didn't really prove a whole lot. I mean, it was just an explosive fourth quarter where a close game escalated into a blowout. Strangely enough, and you wouldn't have thought it at the time, I think one of the biggest wins of the week was for the Buffalo Bills when they beat New England on Thursday night. Well, first of all, we got to stop putting New England on prime time because Tom Brady doesn't play there anymore. And that team, I would almost rather watch a World Cup game than watch the Patriots at this point in time because that team is terrible. They're just not fun to watch. There's nothing fun to watch about the Patriots anymore. But by Buffalo winning that game and the events of Sunday unfolded, Buffalo is now in the number one spot to control their own destiny, to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And if I look at Buffalo's schedule going forward, they got the Jets coming up. They lost to the Jets earlier. There's motivation to get back. The week after that, they're playing the Dolphins. Lost to the Dolphins earlier. Chance for some get back. Win, another divisional win. Then they get the Bears. And then on January 2nd, it is them at Cincinnati and what could be a huge game. I mean, sign me up for that game,
Let's go.
And then he finished with a pay. Yeah, so Buffalo, by Buffalo having that number one position, they now control their own destiny to have that the only bye that is presented now in the AFC to themselves. So they control their own destiny with that. So that was big. Actually, the Ravens pulling out a win was kind of big, but I still think they're going to falter, and Cincinnati's going to catch them and win that division. Worst loss, I was going to say the Falcons because they were still technically in the race for the division with Tampa. Tampa just keeps losing, and Carolina's actually still alive in that division too. I mean, it's crazy. They don't have Baker Mayfield to bail them out anymore, but that's a whole other story.
Where was he? Who was he bailing out? His credit is terrible. No bail bond is going to sign.
Thank you for the sound effect. I was going for that actually.
Don't need no damn Baker Mayfield at this point.
But there was a really terrible loss that had really no implications on anything, and that was the Chicago Bears being up on Green Bay early in the game at home. Aaron Rodgers, this is the year he's down. This is your chance to kick him. A year ago, he's telling you in your own stadium, I own you. And this time you were out in front of him. You're stomping him. You went up in the second quarter and missed the extra point, and things unraveled from there. They were about to go up 17-3. They missed the extra point, and they end up losing the game 28-19. Chicago, there was your chance, man. This guy has owned you. This is your chance to really put the nail in the coffin of his season by knocking him out right there in that game, and you blew it. So that was a terrible loss. There were others that had like more meaning and all that, but I just wanted to point out that Chicago, like the Cowboys, Aaron Rodgers owns you. Eddy Kool, what you got?
Well, with that being said, I have to piggyback off of B Live by saying the biggest win would have to be Cincinnati over the Chiefs. Now, fellas, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it around this time last year where the Bengals started catching fire? Are you seeing a similar theme here with this year's Bengals as opposed to last year's Bengals? But last year's Bengals, they still had a healthy Jamar Chase and a healthy Joe Mixon. This year, during this little stretch, they had Jamar Chase, who was unhealthy, who wasn't healthy, who was out, and also Joe Mixon, who was out as well too. In the words of Joe Burrow, don't matter. Let's ride. I'm sorry, that's Russell Wilson, but you get what I'm saying, though. I mean, through adversity, they keep going. They say Jamar Chase, no problem. Then you got T. Higgins, and you got the other guys on the team, and then no Joe Mixon, Samaje Perine, no problem. They find a way to win. The defense is tightening up, and I think they could be poised to head it to the AFC Championship game. A bad loss? Well, y'all gonna laugh.
Hold on, before you go, Eddy, I just wanted to point out too that you and I talked about this at the beginning of the season, that they really needed to protect Burrow. He was sacked once Sunday. So maybe part of that problem that we foresaw early in the season is starting to come together. Maybe the offensive line is starting to gel together a little bit. And, we all said we thought that was the biggest issue with the Bengals. So I just wanted to throw that in. Eddy, go ahead, bud.
Oh, you're right. And from the looks of it, Joe Burrow, when he's upright, he gets right. So yeah, the Bengals, you got to watch out for them. Fella, you're going to laugh at this one. In the words of Scottie D, when it comes to two teams tying, it is like what Scottie D? It is like what Scottie D is like kissing your sister, right?
Yeah.
We got the Giants and we got the Commanders. Both teams are trending up. Both teams are playing better than what a lot of us expected. And somehow, some way, no one couldn't get the 21st point.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the game in its entirety, but looking at it, I'm like, damn, they tied? Things happen. I mean, look, like the first week of the season, we had the Colts and the Texans tied, and we understand why the Colts and the Texans tied because look at them. All right. So we're looking at the Commanders and the Giants. I mean, we got two teams trending up, and this tie is going to be the thing that comes back to bite you in the backside. All right. Mm-hmm. It's going to come back to bite you in the backside. Both these teams needed to win to try to gain some ground in the playoff chase and also the wild card as well too. But going 2020 tie, you do yourself no favors whatsoever.
And I'm a piggyback off that as well, because the way that the standings look right now, with that tie, somebody's not going to make it. Right now, there are 8 teams in contention for 7 spots. Right now, all the other teams there's separation. Right now, if the season ended today, the Giants would make it in, the Seahawks would make it in, the Commanders would be left out by half a game. Oof. And it's going to come down to that. It's literally going to come down to that. They both can make it in. One of those 3 teams is not going to make the playoffs. 2 of them will, between the Giants, Commanders, and the Seahawks. And there's a division race and everything like that, but they're going to make it in one way or the other. Giants, Commanders, they're fighting for the wild card. Seahawks still have a chance for the division race, but that's going to put the San Francisco 49ers in that mix. But that tie is going to be detrimental. And so, like, you could have had that separation, but now we'll see, because we'll see. We shall see. If the Commanders would have won that game, they would actually been in the upper hand. But one thing I also want to say, because you mentioned the Baltimore Ravens coming out with a win, but they didn't win that well.
No,
because they lost Lamar Jackson for a few weeks. Do they still have Tyler Huntley? I hope they still have.
He's still on the roster. Yeah.
Okay.
If they smart, they keep him on. He should still be on the roster.
He's gonna be a starting quarterback eventually, so they might still be fine. But with the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens tied right now, the Bengals are red hot, and so my bad. Did I say red hot? I meant white hot. Their jerseys, them white jerseys are tough. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, they look all right.
But man,
yeah. But Huntley has been respectable before, and this isn't the first time he's had to play for Lamar Jackson. But now you're asking him to pretty much win out or close to win out with the Bengals playing as well as they are. And there's 5 games. It doesn't feel like we're closer to the end of the season than 5. There's 5 weeks left. I mean, that's over a month left of NFL football. I feel like because we're so close to Christmas, it's like the season should be ending in another week or two, but we still have plenty of time left in the season. Lots of work left to do.
Since I've been getting cold all week anyway, when it comes to, I really didn't get cold. That was more of a gift that we got rid of Baker Mayfield. Yes. And we were on a bye week in professional football. I did get a lump of cold when it comes to the World Cup. And at this moment of time, I would like for us to go back to this silly ass segment that we created last couple weeks ago and allow the money man, Scottie D, to bring us what we like to call the World Cup Minute. And here he comes with them stupid glasses. Oh boy. All right.
Scottie D, they help me see. So I didn't watch a lot of it. And from what I understand, I didn't miss a lot of the scoring either. So now that we have 4 years until next season for the U.S. After another heartbreak, another unbelievable disappointment that we fell short. I mean, I was all set to celebrate the World Cup. I can't lie. There have been some things that made me not quite as excited as others. So here, I'm just going to give you 5 quick things that I think would make the World Cup better. Just 5 quick things.
Five
quick things to improve the World Cup. Number one, no man buns. Number 2, Swords. You get swords. That way, if you're trying to dribble the ball between a couple guys and they got swords, you're not going to be as inclined to go right at the guys. You're going to try to maneuver around. Number 3, if one of the best players in the world's name is Lionel, we're going to call him Lionel. We're not going to call him Lionel or whatever, however you pronounce that. Number 4, goalies wear a color similar to what you're wearing. If the United States wears all white, the goalie is going to wear either a red or a blue outfit, not green, because green doesn't fit in the United States color scheme. We're not red, white, blue, and green. And finally, I say we go straight to shootouts. We don't need to waste our time with the 90 fake minutes and then the stoppage time where the referee like keeps the thing and then says, okay, the game's over, and nobody really knows what's going on there. Straight to shootouts, and now we've got ourselves some action and some excitement. USA in 20, what's 4 years from now? 2026. That's going to be our year. We got them. USA, I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win. And that is a Money Man World Cup minute.
Why do we allow him to do this? Why do we allow him to disrespect the sport so badly?
I believe that we will win.
It's great for entertainment.
We will win.
Now, here's the thing that I need y'all to prepare for, because in 2026, the World Cup will be here.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm there. I am there.
I'm not going with you. You're not
trying to keep me from that event. Try to keep me away.
You are not. You will not. I will not attend the World Cup with you at all to watch you disrespect the sport. I will, man. Oh God.
Hopefully, if anybody takes my advice and we go straight to the shootouts, I'm there, buddy. You better believe it.
Nobody's going to take your advice ever. Swords, really? Swords? We're fencing now.
Think about how much I would change the game if we had a sword.
Oh boy, let me stop right now. Let me get this train back on the track because we're falling off. Ooh, we're falling off bad. Swords and shootouts and all this fun stuff.
I want to hear B Live's college talk. I'm excited about this. Let's get this.
You want to hear B Live's college talk? I'll tell you what. Yeah. Coming up next here on the Sports Post Podcast is the B Live Top 5. I think it's a special edition of the B Live Top 5. But either way it goes, you want to stay tuned for this. Coming right back at you, right here on the Sports Bros Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, you, them, us, them fools over there, and the whole wide world. This is the B Live Top 5.
Oh man, the world of college football. The regular season has concluded. All games have finished, and we are now left with the bowl season. The college football playoff has made its choices, and they have picked the top 4 teams to make it into the college football playoff. You already know Georgia versus Ohio State, Michigan versus TCU, odd man out, Alabama, Tennessee, Clemson, and all the others, such and such. With that being said, my B Live Top 5 this week will consist of the notable college football bowl games that I'll be watching this bowl season. Starting at number 5, there's going to be a slight bias because we all originate, 2 of us are born in the greater Grand Strand region of North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Scottie D, he's from somewhere, but he lived in the area for quite some time. And therefore, we have a little bit of an affinity for the area. And so if anybody knows anything about North Myrtle Beach, anything like that, especially during the spring and summertime, they know that this game should be a rivalry, and it isn't. But the Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl this year, Tuesday, December 27th, 6:45 p.m., features the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers versus the East Carolina Pirates, CCU versus ECU. Why is this not a rivalry? Why is this the very first time they will ever face each other in football.
Really?
Yes, this would be the very first game between Coastal Carolina and ECU. And why this hasn't happened. I'm going to be watching this game just to see. And I guarantee you we're going to be drinking afterwards because that's what CCU and ECU do. I promise you, we drink. Number four, we're looking at the San Diego County Credit Union Holiday Bowl. That is a very long name. Wednesday, December 28th at 8 p.m. The reason why I featured this game is take the over. I don't care what it is. Take the over because it's going to be the Oregon Ducks against the North Carolina Tar Heels. Take the over. There's going to be a lot of scoring in this game. I guarantee you that much. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Coming in at number 3, this is the Cricket Celebration Bowl, Saturday, December 17th at 12 p.m. The Jackson State Bulldogs versus the North Carolina Central Eagles. This is the HBCU championship game. Now the question will be, will Jackson State keep that same energy with Coach Prime going to Colorado? We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But man, I want to see it. America wants to see it. We want that same energy to be kept in HBCU Nation. Let's get it. Let's go. Number 2, here's your surprise for you. Number 2 will be the Capital One Orange Bowl, Friday, December 30th at 8 p.m. Orange on top of orange with some more orange. You see it in my background. Why is that number 2 be live? How, Sway? How? Because it features the Tennessee Volunteers versus my very own beloved, all roads lead to Dabo, Clemson Tigers. Number 2, though, is because Tennessee doesn't have Hendon Hooker. It's not going to be what we want it to be, but we will see the future of both of these programs because the backup quarterback for Tennessee will be playing against the backup quarterback for Clemson because, unfortunately, news came today. We knew it was coming. But DJ Unkle has entered the transfer portal after being benched during the ACC championship game. Thank you for your time here with Clemson. I understand and wish you all the best. But, yes, it is the time. It is Cade Klubnik's time in Clemson. Let's get it. Let's go. Number 2.
We wish you your best in your future endeavors.
There you go with this we stuff again. There you go. Number one, I want to see it. I'm going to put it out there. Which one of these 2 schools will be able to reign supreme as the best team that beat Clemson this year? It is the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, Friday, December 30th at 3:30 p.m. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish versus the South Carolina Gamecocks. That is my number 1, just because I want to hate throughout the entire game. But I'm actually genuinely curious. This is going to be an ode to my best friend and my brother, the HOC, Eddy Kool. South Carolina has beaten Kentucky, Tennessee, and Clemson this year. Can they make that next step by beating Notre Dame and be a legitimate contender the years to come? I'm genuinely curious. I'm very curious. Will the years to come have both Clemson and South Carolina be ranked in the Palmetto Bowl? I would love to see it. It's a beautiful thing when both teams are good. I'm just being honest with you. It's a beautiful thing when it's back and forth. It's been somewhat boring these past 7-8 years. But it's interesting now because now finally y'all get to at least talk trash back as opposed to coming up with some crazy things about Dabo and his church habits and all kinds of other stuff. Y'all want to come out with all these excuses as to why y'all keep losing to us. Beamer Ball may be here. Fellas, when it comes to that, what do you think has made the biggest impact with the college football playoff going from it's still 4 games? What would you think would it be better this year to have 12 teams now? Have the same format now? Or my personal favorite, this year is the perfect year to go back to the BCS and have one championship game because there's two clear teams that are the two best teams in the country. All the others, we're talking about semantics at this point in time. You had a chance to win, you didn't. I'm talking TCU. I'm talking Ohio State. I'm talking Alabama. You had your chance. The two best teams is clear cut right now. But what do you say about that scenario? 12-4-2 right now. Go. Scottie D, what you got?
I would actually think this year would have been a good 6, where the top 2 would get buys, where Michigan and Georgia would sit out a week and let 3 through 6 play one another to work their way into that. I think that would have been good. I don't know that I would. And we've kicked this around before, going up to 12, going up to 8, going up to 16. I think 6 or 8 would probably be sufficient. And then this year, I think that would have worked out the same way. If you would have gone to 8 this year, I would have been okay with that. I don't know if it'd be as exciting as, say, like 8-4 Liberty against 8-5 Toledo. That's a game that I'm looking forward to very much. On December 20th at 7:30, I'm going to be staying home for that roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl.
The Roof Chris Steakhouse Bowl. What'd you say?
The roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl. That's what I'm looking forward to.
What?
But all jokes aside, this year that there are. I don't know that I feel like Michigan is that dominant though, because I don't think the Big Ten's that good, and I think they had a great fourth quarter against Ohio State, and it would have been cool had Ohio State moved up, even though I don't think they necessarily deserve to. Had they moved up into that 3 spot, and we would have had a rematch, because I don't think that's ever happened before. I think that'd have been cool to see that game again on a neutral site. And it could still happen. It could still happen if Ohio State pulls the upset of Georgia, which is a tall task, and Michigan handles the business against TCU. That could very well happen. Unlikely, but stranger things have happened.
It happened last year where you had a rematch of the SEC championship, which, I mean, the Michigan-Ohio State game was.
I'm talking about them specifically, though. Those two teams specifically have not played each other more than once in a season.
Right. And that's what I was saying. I was alluding to that. The Michigan-Ohio State game this year was the Big Ten championship. Sorry, Purdue, but
right.
Yeah.
That was, to me, that was the biggest game, I think, of the past 2 weeks. When we were talking about, we were going to actually kind of have that question, what was the biggest game? To me, that Michigan's win over Ohio State on the road, to me, was the biggest win of the season, I think. When we're having something on the line, because there was nothing more at stake on the line for those two teams. Potentially the loser of that game was going to be out of the playoffs. Now, it didn't work out that way. Ohio State got back in, but that was a huge, huge win for Michigan. That solidified that they were definitely going to be in the playoffs. Even had they lost to Purdue, they wouldn't have slipped out of that top 4. So that was important. And Southern Cal not handling their business against Utah for the second time this year. Yeah, that was a bad one. Now, their quarterback got injured in that game, and that may have had a lot to do with the outcome. But that team couldn't tackle. I don't know how that team only lost twice this year. I've never seen a team not be able to tackle. So having said that, Southern Cal being on the out is probably warranted, because if they couldn't tackle Utah players, how are they going to tackle Georgia players or Michigan players? That would have been a tough task. A successful season for USC, I would say, first under Lincoln Riley, and I would expect big things from that program going forward. I would think they're going to be one of the mainstays around the Pac-12, although some new competition on the horizon for them. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but I still think it's going to come down to Michigan and Georgia. It seems like all signs are pointing that
way. So Eddy Kool, what say you about the top 4? And what do you say? 2, 4, 8, 12, Alabama being left out? Do you think they deserve to be in? What do you think?
Not the top 4, definitely not. I mean, you lost 2 games, so no, you don't get. No, I don't. Even though my team is from the SEC, no. If you lose one, okay, 2, you got no business in there because, as you alluded to, B-Live earlier, you should have taken care of business during the regular season. I'll say this: I remember seeing like the last 10 minutes of the Utah and Southern Cal game, and I was like, if we expand this thing to 8 teams, what kind of damage could Utah really do? Like you said, this is the second year in a row that Utah has given Southern Cal all that they can handle. All I saw for 5 minutes at one point was 81 and 91 in the backfield. 81, 91 from Utah in the backfield of Southern Cal. And that last dagger, when they scored that last touchdown, like you said, they can't tackle this.
Southern Cal cannot tackle for nothing.
I'm like,
they had one good one, and it was the most incredible tackle I think I've ever seen, where the linebacker blew up the quarterback when he rolled out. What's that mullet quarterback's name? It actually played very well. He's kind of a gritty, big time quarterback. His name escapes me at the moment, but Southern Cal was as bad a performance you'll ever see a Division I team. Actually, it was like one of the all-time worst tackling performances put out by a Division I team.
His name is Cameron Rising.
Yes. Yeah.
Got you.
I like that kid.
Yeah. Or I give him a corny nickname, Cameron Terra Rising, if you know.
Yep.
But I'm overthinking. I'm like, damn, boy, if Utah could get in there, what damage could they really do? Because, I mean, Utah is under the radar.
Yeah, they're on late at night.
Yeah, they're on late at night, and we over here, we not really checking on them like that. But then,
they always lose that one game that they should win every time. Like they should. Like the Oregon, I can understand, but I forgot who they was. It I think it was it UCLA that they lost to.
I think so.
And those games count. Here's the thing, and that's why. Like again, we've argued it enough. Those games count. You win those games, you make it in. Utah would be up there. Would they be in the conversation? Yes, an 8-game, 8-team, 12-team playoff would be intriguing, but it's clear this year who the top 2 teams are. And now the conference championship games already didn't matter that much.
No.
Now you add more teams in, they really ain't gonna matter. Because TCU lost their conference championship, but yet they're still in because everybody else lost. So it's just like
it did matter to Southern Cal.
It mattered to Southern Cal because once again they were in that position where they already lost the game. You can't lose twice,
right,
to the same team and then making it to the playoff above that team. But
the conference championship still means something though, because TCU, if they go on and lose their next game, which there's a good chance that they do, they will have ended the season having won nothing. They lost their they lost their chance, even though I think they got seriously hosed in their championship game against Kansas State. They're going to have the season say it was a really, really good season. We made the playoffs, but they didn't win a conference championship, and they won't have gotten even to the national championship game if they lose their next one. So I think they were definitely plenty motivated to win that game this past Saturday. They just ran into a Kansas State team that was playing very well.
Ran into a buzzsaw.
Southern Cal would be the first person to have this argument, is that they got punished by going to by making it to a conference championship. They got punished.
It happens a lot. It seems like it's happened many times.
Because now, if they didn't play in that game, they went 11-1 with their one loss being somebody whatever. They would have been in. They'd have been in the playoff. Maybe, I don't know. There's a lot of hypotheticals, but Ohio State didn't even make it to their conference championship. It got in. Alabama almost, but again, 2 losses. I don't care how you lost. You lost, and losses matter. Alabama. I really wanted Alabama in the Orange Bowl. Really did. Really, really badly wanted them in the Orange Bowl. But it's okay. It's okay. I believe it's still gonna be a good game. Tennessee. It's going to be, I think it's Alabama, Kansas State in the Sugar Bowl. You've got in the Rose Bowl, you've got Utah versus Penn State. It's going to be a decent
Should be
game.
good.
And then you've got in the Cotton Bowl, you have Southern Cal versus Tulane. The Green Wave. Tulane gets the New Year's Bowl for being the top ranked Group of 5 team. So, fellas, after all that's being said and done, we've talked a great deal about what's going on in the Pac-12. The ball just keeps on rolling in the Pac-12 because guess who's coming to town?
Prime time, baby. It's prime time, baby.
Let's
give me my
address
theme music.
the elephant in the room. Deion Sanders leaves Jackson State, accepts the position at the University of Colorado. What are your thoughts? Eddy Kool, I know you're biting. I know you're ready.
I'm chomping at the bit because I've heard everybody say everything, and on my platform, I'm going to address it. Someone told me earlier, hey, be careful how you address this. I'm going to just keep it 100% real, honest, and stinking funky with you, all right? Deion Sanders went there with a purpose to bring national attention to HBCUs across the country and predominantly in the South. That's where a lot of them are. Check. He did that. And then he won not one, but 2 Southwestern Athletic Conferences or SWAC championships. Check. That first year was kind of a rough year, but those last 2 years it was doing good. The power of Deion Sanders for him to have Travis Hunter to flip from Florida State, Deion's alma mater, to Jackson State University, check. The balance was swinging in the balance of power. Now, not all, top prospects are going to do that, but that's a pretty big damn deal. And then Deion Sanders also said in the 60 Minutes interview, I forgot the reporter's name, when he asked him, if someone were to come to you about an offer, would you entertain it? And Deion Sanders said, and I quote, I would be a fool not to. So right there, America and everybody else, you saw like, you know what? Can't be mad at them. Because if you know, like I know, the HBCUs, they're not handing out big old paychecks. They're not handing out big old paychecks. And a lot of times their athletic facilities are not up to par with the other, predominantly, the big time universities. For example, I don't know if you remember, but there's a story about Grambling and how tough that looked there. But for anybody saying like, Deion sold out, let me ask y'all a question. Oh, and by the way, whatever he made at Jackson State, he gave it back to him. So let me ask y'all, Be Live Scottie D, I know you guys' answers without even, me asking you these questions. But to anybody out there, say, for instance, if you have a chance, you work hard and you really prove yourself in your craft and you have a chance to advance, to better yourself, not to mention you leave the university a whole hell of a lot better than the way you found it, and then an opportunity arises because of your track record at said university where you can make more money and make a bigger impact, you're not going to take it? Because I know a lot of people out there right now that will leave their job for a 50-cent raise. So for all you critics out there trying to get on Deion Sanders, I'm going to need you to cut it out. Look at yourself in the mirror, because if you're in that situation where you can get a bigger pay raise and make, he making like $5 million per year just to coach and make it happen. He's got a proven track record, even though the competition is different. Like I said, the man earned his job. If you had a chance to go somewhere and do better, I'm pretty sure you would. And that's all I got to say about that. Scottie D, what say you?
My opinion on Deion leaving and going to Colorado, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed for them. I'm disappointed that he didn't stay longer. And that's a selfish thing. Now, keep in mind, I'm disappointed, but I'm not disappointed in him, because what he did was bring unprecedented attention and success to this program and to the entire conference. That I've heard Shannon Sharp say, a lot of people were angry. He said, it seems like our people, speaking of Black people, seem to be the ones that are the most angry at us when one of us has a chance to do something better, to move on. And I can't really speak to that because I'm a white guy, so I can't really channel how I should feel as far as that goes with race. I don't, but I think that he needs to be given a break on that because of what he has already done. And like you say, this guy actually was mowing the grass at the stadium. He was using his connections with Walmart and American Airlines to get these kids better outfits to travel in, so that when they were going to games, they were dressed up. They weren't just wearing whatever. They looked like a team. And for some of these kids who were going to graduate and not go on, and actually he had a high graduation rate too. He helped make sure these kids were academically successful. These kids are going to have an incredible memory of what a great time this was in their collegiate life, that have been part of Deion Sanders' legacy just for that short period of time. So I hope that he sets the path and the success continues and the attention continues, and that the HBCU programs all benefit long-term and not just because he was there for this short time. I hope that continues. Whether it will or not remains to be seen, because he was the attraction. They were on TV because he was on the sideline, not because he brought the attention. It was because he was the star. And now that star is moving on. And I can't condemn him for that. The reason I said I was disappointed is because I didn't expect this to happen so soon. I thought he might be there for the long haul. Maybe not like Eddie Robinson, who spent his entire career with Grambling. He was there for like 100 years and very successful coach who just never went anywhere, and probably had some opportunities in the early days, probably not as much because he was a black head coach and those doors weren't open like they are today. I was hoping that Deion was going to stick around long enough to be able to play some like Division I powerhouses and really build this program up to be like a superpower in the HBCU community. I wanted to see him take on some of the giants and continue to get some of these big time players. Now he'll have a chance to do that in Colorado. And Colorado, by the way, when you think of Colorado football, what do you think of? Nothing. I mean, what legacy do they really have? They had a coach championship maybe in '93 or something, and Rashawn Salaam winning the Heisman. This program already they are fired up. He brings so much credibility. And he said the reason he went there is because he felt God led him there. Now, how can I argue with that? How can any of us argue with that? He said something really interesting. He said, I was a great player, a great professional player. And when you think of great professional players, you usually associate them with one team. He said, but I played for 5 NFL teams and 4 baseball teams. Why was that? Because I felt like God led me there. God took me to those places. So he's at peace with that. He's at peace with being at Colorado. He's not at Florida State or Auburn, which was mentioned, or any of these. He's at Colorado, and he's thrilled to be there, and he's fired up to be there. And the athletic director's fired up to be there. And I'm fired up to watch a Colorado game next year. They play Nebraska opening day. And I tell you, this team's going to win more than one game next year. It used to take a lot longer to build up a program with recruits, but now you got transfer portals and all that stuff. This team these kids are going to want to go play for him, and they are going to win more than a game. They're going to be bowl eligible next year with Deion Sanders there.
Did you just tell me did I just hear what I thought I just heard? Do I have a Coach Prime versus Coach Matt Rule game?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh.
And you know what? That game is going to be televised, and it is going to be hype. It's going to be in prime time. People are going to watch that. Deion's a winner, man. I mean, I don't know about his X's and O's, but I know I trust him to put a good staff around him, to recruit the right people, and to be a winner, because he's a special individual. And kids of today still relate to him. These young kids want to go play for him because he's cool. Because if you can watch him dance on the sidelines on YouTube and doing all of his Deion stuff, man, there is magic there. And Colorado's going to be more relevant than it's probably ever been in its history.
Get him out there.
Yeah.
Here's I want to mention this because I've been very conflicted when this first came out. I've gone through a lot of range of emotions. I for one, I did not attend the HBCU. I thought about it. I've had offers here that would at the time, it's a whole lifetime ago. There's a lot of prestige and value in historically Black colleges and universities that a lot of people don't see. Here's my conflict. Do I fault the man for going for a better position? No. Do I understand that we need more people like him in those what they call PWIs, predominantly white institutions? That's what it's called. And I don't really, at the end of the day, I really don't want to make this about race, but we want not making it about race. We want to even the playing field, so to speak. Like, I want those positions to be available to more qualified individuals. So I applaud him for taking that position, and I want to see that more. I want to see it more on both sides. I want to see more. I want to see more equality across the board in these higher positions. I also, and this is the point that I want to drive home, that I'm a little disappointed. I'm a little disappointed as well. I would have liked to have heard a succession plan, who he's leaving the program and the team to, and I haven't heard that.
Well, like, he mentioned at the press conference, I believe, that he did have somebody that was on the staff that he is recommended going forward, someone that probably he has shared time and vision with. And I don't think he named the individual, but there is somebody, I think, on staff already. I don't know that it's definite that it's going to be that person, or if they'll look outside. I mean, if there's another big time African-American athlete out there who wants to do the same thing Deion did, that might be the way to go. I don't know that's been laid out yet. But Deion's idea was of somebody in-house, I believe.
And see, that's the point I wanted to allude to, was that I didn't hear that. Like you said, there was somebody he had, but I would have I'd have been in a much better position and place if I'd have been like, hey, Jackson State is still in good hands. Like, great coaches leave that type of legacy. Like,
maybe we are going to hear that though, B, because he's going to coach the last game, right? So you would assume he said at the Colorado press conference he's going to take care of business with Jackson State first. So I would assume that after the Jackson State game, there would probably be a press conference there as well. But at the Colorado press conference, maybe he just didn't feel like that was the time or place to be announcing what they have going forward at Jackson State. So we still may hear that. Okay. I don't know. I'm guessing, but it to me, I don't think it would have been appropriate for him to be laying out details of Jackson State's program at a Colorado press conference.
And here's the thing. But you see where, like, if somebody that really cares, like, about Jackson State, about these other programs, wouldn't you want to have that peace of mind, knowing that, hey, and that's where it's left me at, is that I hope, and I very much hope that you're hit the nail on the head, because what I want to see in the very near future, I want all of these news media outlets, including our very own, to keep that same energy about HBCUs. HBCUs are still there. These are very storied football programs that athletes have come out and been very successful in the NFL. I want them to keep that same energy. Be that beacon of hope for a lot of these athletes that didn't even think even remotely that, hey, this could be a good fit for me. They've been put on the afterthought, the afterburner. And what also is happening right now is that a lot of those players that Coach Prime recruited to Jackson State to make them as great as they are, they're following him to Colorado. So where does that leave the state of Jackson State, their football program? That's the kind of stuff that there's a lot of questions that are left unanswered. There's a lot of kids right now that don't know exactly what they want to do. Do they want to follow Coach Prime and go to Colorado? Or do they want to, like, there was a moment of time they were like, man, I want to go to Jackson State. I want to be a part of that. And now they're just like, do I follow the HBCU path, or do I follow the Colorado path and be a part of the limelight? And that's where it's sort of lost at. And so that's where that's the one thing. I'm not mad at all about what's happened. I want Coach Prime to continue to elevate, because that's the ultimate goal that anybody wants. But he does have just a little bit more responsibility to the legacy he leaves behind. And so that's the one thing I just haven't heard. I want that energy to be kept. I want somebody to be there that's going to keep that same energy. I want their social media department to be the same as it was, as opposed to just being Coach Prime. I want it to be Jackson State, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram,
Everything.
Facebook, YouTube, all of that. I want that because that's what reaches to the youth of America these days. I want that at Grambling State. I want that at Florida A&M. I want that at South Carolina State University. I want that at Howard. I want that at Spelman, Morehouse. I want that. I want that same energy. I want more former players of the NFL to join these coaching staffs. And that's where it actually starts. If we want to see more people of color in those top level positions in the NFL, they have to start somewhere. Why? Hey, start with the HBCUs. Deion should not be the only one, and I hope to see that. And I challenge these former NFL players that have aspirations of being a coach. Let it start there. Build a program just like he did at Jackson State. Keep that same energy. That's what I hope for. And at the end of the day, I wish Coach Prime, I wish the players the best. I want these coaching staffs to continue to rise and bring up each one of these programs. Keep that same energy. I want to see ESPN Game Day at another game for HBCU. Yeah. I want that same energy. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm just hoping that it does not die off.
I think we came down pretty much on the same square on that one. I mean, you sound similar like me, where I'm disappointed that he went, but not disappointed in him for doing it. You can't blame him. He wants to do different things in his life, and that's his life. And the fact that he stopped there and made things better for them.
Oh yeah. Like I cannot fault him, and I'm not.
Can't fault that. Yeah.
And I'm definitely not going to hate on the man whatsoever. So all that hating out there, stop that immediately. Yeah.
I just would like to have seen maybe like 3 more years of him in that position, where just as, a month ago, he got that 60 Minutes interview and brought all that light just to even grow that even a little bit more and a little bit more. And maybe while he was there, another former NFL player becomes a rival, and they something to that effect. I would like to see a little bit more of that, but hey, whatever. It's his life. He said God led him there. Congratulations to him, and congratulations to Jackson State on what they've accomplished while he was there.
Yep, because I would have loved to seen the rivalry between him and Eddie George, because Eddie George is a head coach at Tennessee State University. Yep. So the trend is definitely starting. So it's just
there you go.
It's just up to others that want to do that as well too. Hey, because it's the classic case of, hey, before you can get to here, you got to start here first.
Right.
You have to start here first. Nothing is given. You got to earn everything. So, and Scottie D, I listening to, your comments, your sentiments, like, I see where you come from, Scottie D. You want to see, like, Deion build the Jackson State long-term legacy, a la Bobby Bowden, a la Eddie Robinson.
Eddie Robinson.
To that magnitude. I see where both you guys are coming from. Great points, fellas. Great segments, and that's it for the B-Live Top 5. But looking at my cell phone, because my watch died about 2 months ago, guess what time it is?
What time is it? What's happening? What's going on?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. This time for our favorite portion of the show. You guessed it, the choices of the voices. With that being said, hey, yo, button, hit it. Choices of the voices for the month of December, the first one of this month. Coming up next, right here on the Sports Bros Podcast.
And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful and
ever
so lovely Ms. Button for introducing our favorite portion of the show. You guessed it, it is the choices of the voices. We ask y'all questions, y'all give us answers, we talk about them. We probably gonna pick at you, might throw in a penalty box, depending on how redundant the answer is, and we give our little 2 cents on this segment as well too. With that being said, Scottie D, what's on tap for this week's choices of the voices?
All right, we were talking rivalry games, and we asked you to share with us one of the more memorable rivalry games that you can ever remember. One of your favorite rivalry games of all time in any rivalry game, not specific to any two teams. Eddy Kool, not a lot of responses, but a couple good ones.
Yep, we got a few. A few is better than none at all. So let's go ahead and get right into it. We got the Hall of Famer himself, Uncle Max. He said Bama beats Auburn 28-17 in 1981 to earn Bear Bryant his 315th victory, surpassing Amos Alonzo Stagg as the winningest football coach in Division I college football. Okay. Yep. So
I think that's one of the top rivalries in all of sports. Alabama Auburn. I love that one.
The Iron Bowl has been very. Let's just put it this way. There's a lot of memories, a lot of heartbreak, a lot of consequences and repercussions after said game. And has gone a long way in determining who has the top prize in all of college football.
That year that remember the year Alabama tried to kick the game-winning field goal and it got returned for a touchdown by Auburn? Was that
Auburn's
Cam
going to win the
that
football game? Auburn's going to win the football game. No,
yeah, was Cam Newton on the team that year?
No, he was gone. It was 2014 or 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember what the timeline was. I think Cam was there in 2012, I think was his Heisman year, somewhere in that area.
11-12. All I remember was seeing my guy running back from the end zone to the other. Auburn is going to win the football game. It was crazy.
No.
I remember overtime going crazy that day.
I was there. I think I was there.
Cam Newton was 2012. The kick six was 2013.
Oh,
so
okay.
It was the following year.
Okay.
Yep. And where the guy screamed to the top of the lungs, Auburn's going to win the football game. And they did. All right. Brian Early said definitely when Pitt knocked off West Virginia out of the playoffs, even when we weren't ranked, they took over the city for that game. It was like a hillbilly holdout with all the key rattling stupid things they do. A whole lot of butt hurt afterwards, and I was so happy, laughing out loud. So the backyard, what's it called? It's got the backyard brawl.
That's the backyard brawl. So just to get a little more detail on that, West Virginia was number 2 in the country that year, and that was the 2007 season, and that was the year that a lot of number 2s lost all throughout the year. And West Virginia had one loose end to tie up, and that was to beat Pitt, who was 5-7. At home. This game took place in West Virginia, and they were going to be off to the national championship. And that was a year that LSU defeated Ohio State for the national championship. So all West Virginia had to do was take care of Dave Wannstedt and the lowly Panthers at home. And Shady McCoy ran all over him that night. And Pitt was actually, I think, winning 13-7 and gave up that late safety, ran out of the back of the end zone to get a better kickoff. And that was it. That ruined the season for West Virginia and Rich Rodriguez. And that was a game that is historic in this area of the country up here in Western Pennsylvania, because that was a heartbreak for the Mountaineers, took away their national title hopes, and Pitt fans at that point had not much to root for, but that was a great spoiler memory for them.
Good old Rich Rod. Y'all remember old Rich Rod? Old Rich Rodriguez? Yeah. Good old Rich Rod. It was he chased a bag, coach a little bit, get fired, chase another bag, wash. Is he even coach? Is he even coaching anymore, Rich Rodriguez?
I actually don't know. Last he was in Arizona, I think, but I think he lost that job too, if I'm not mistaken.
Jesus Christ, you can't hold a damn job for nothing. I tell you what, he must be a hell of an interview. Got to be. You got to be a hell of an interview to get that job and just run it down your leg. All right, moving right along. We got Mike Rossetti. He says Pittsburgh, Penn State before Joe Pa canceled the rivalry.
Yeah, I can't speak on the details of that. I don't really know exactly why the Pitt-Penn State rivalry went under. I've heard different things about it, but to me, when I was growing up, that was the rivalry. It wasn't the backyard brawl, really. It was Pitt-Penn State. And I can remember actually them playing in the last game of the season, and Pitt was number 1 in the country and jumped out 14-0 and then got crushed by a lesser Penn State team. I think Pitt ended up playing Georgia in the Sugar Bowl that year. Herschel Walker was still in town with Georgia at that point, but that was a spoiler game where in the rivalry scenario between Pitt and Penn State.
Oh wow! I was thinking, I was like, well, how come they don't play each other that often? Joe Paternal cancer. Nah, come on, man, you gotta.
Yeah, they revisited it there a couple years ago. They did play. I think is last year or the year before. They still played. They had gone away from it and then went back to it. Now Pitt's back playing West Virginia again. But anyway,
they played up until 2000, and then they played 2016 through 2019.
Yeah.
And Penn State's won the last 3. But yeah,
I think it might be in the works again in the later 2020s. I think I heard that they may be like revisiting it like in 2026, 2028. I don't know that that's been definite, but I heard that there was talks of that. But anyway, what else we got here, Eddy Kool?
Bring it back and make it happen, doggone it. All right, we got Mike Davis who said too easy. The Darrell Revis punt return touchdown against West Virginia. So we got a lot of love.
Backyard brawl again?
No, yeah, we got what? That's 3 for the backyard brawl, if I'm not, well, 2 for the backyard brawl, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Yeah, so the backyard brawl.
The Pitt people came out for this question.
In full force. And so with that being said, go ahead, be live.
I did a little quick Googling of that. Darrell Revis returned that the punt. Take a wild guess who was the punter?
Pat McAfee.
Yep.
No kidding.
Yep.
That's
I was
crazy.
like, wow, okay, yep. West Virginia punter, Pat McAfee. Our favorite punter. He's my favorite punter. I miss him on WWE. How many more college game days does he have left? Come back to WWE, please.
He'll be back soon.
He ain't got too many more left, but yeah, Pat McAfee is definitely missed on Friday Night SmackDown. Definitely
Oh
missed.
my God!
All right, with that being,
it doesn't sound as like it's fight night. It's like
energy.
Smack doom.
Yep. Shout out to Uncle Max, Brian Early, Mike Rossetti, and Mike Davis for their participation in this week's choices of the voices. Scottie D, most memorable rivalry game. Here we go.
Well, that one that I've kind of thrown a few out already on my end, and that 13-9 game is probably one of mine as well. But I wanted to just actually throw you out a memorable moment. And that was from one of my favorite moments from rivalries was the Desmond Howard 93-yard punt return against Ohio State. And I think it was a 91, and he did the Heisman pose. I've seen that imitated a few times since, but that was like the first time I'd ever seen anybody do that on the field. And then the guy went and won the Heisman. That was super cool. And I kind of always pull for Michigan in that game. And that was, I found that to be just a very cool moment. Be live.
All right, to all of our Ohio listeners, sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, not sorry, because you know how I feel deep. Oh my God. Anyway, one of these days we'll face Ohio State again. We'll talk some more trash. This one is pretty simple to me. This is always going to be simple, and it just reflects on what happened this year because my favorite memory started this streak and this year ended it. Oh God, the streak is over. But at least I can go back to Clemson for home games now because that's over. Ain't that all right? November 29th, 2014. The Palmetto Bowl, Clemson versus South Carolina. South Carolina was coming in with a 5-year win streak. Y'all have seen the picture. That was in 2013. Yeah. All right. There was one person in particular that said there was not going to be a sixth. And it was come hell or high water. And it did not matter if he had a partially torn ACL. Y'all may not think of him the same way, but he's always going to have a part right there in the heart. And screw you, Houston Texans, for booing him and all that extra stuff. But I'm talking about one, Deshaun Watson. Played with a partially torn ACL. He said, I don't even care about all that. A lot of players, oh man, I got to think about my future, got to think about the NFL. He said, no. Ain't nothing bigger than the Palmetto Bowl. There's nothing bigger than the Clemson South Carolina rivalry. And he played with a partially torn ACL and led Clemson to victory 35-17. That was the beginning of 7 straight victories that just ended this year. DJ, oh, it hurts so much. God, they won by 1 point. Why couldn't we put Kane in the game? My bad. Sorry.
I was wondering the same thing. Where's Kane Klubnik? What are we doing?
I wanted something like y'all did. What year was that when y'all brought in brought in your
Dylan Thompson?
Yeah, they brought in your backup. He played 1 snap all year and just come out
and lost his mind.
I was like, who in the hell is him? Your quarterback's healthy, and y'all went with your backup. And it wasn't even something like we did where we benched them, benched DJ the 3rd drive of the ACC championship. No, y'all just said, oh, so y'all been watching film? Watch this. Ain't this?
Watch this.
That's something I'll never forget on the losing end. Dylan, whoo, boy. But Deshaun Watson had the better of Dylan Thompson down in 2014. That's where the legacy began. And since then, 2 national championships, 7 ACC champions. And yeah, we've come a long way. Congratulations, Game Chickens. You finally beat us. Eddy Kool, what's your favorite rivalry moment? And it better not be this year.
No. It's not. It's not.
It bet not. It's not better not. It bet not.
Omaha, kill. No. I had to do a little bit of research. I mean, B-Live, I think you were there. Our brother Smoothie Star Walker Jr. was there. I think we had the whole clique, clan, and posse there. We was at Buffalo Wild Wings. And back in 2004, November 20th, 2004. Yes, we were there, right? I remember. It was a Clemson and South Carolina football brawl in the middle of the doggone field. That's where former quarterback for the Gamecocks, Savell Newton.
Yep.
It was a dirty cheap shot, and all hell broke loose after that. All right, so here it is. Prior to the contest, some South Carolina players congregated at the corner of the end zone near the bottom of the hill at Memorial Stadium as Clemson made its traditional entrance to the field. You know, pushing and shoving, body checking, bumping and cussing, and, bust somebody here, all that. So, it broke it up clearly. But, throughout the game, there's a whole lot going on. But towards the end of the game, Savell Newton, he was knocked to the ground after a shot to the helmet following an incomplete pass on 4th and 11 with 5:48 left in the game in the 4th quarter. At this time, both teams were bowl eligible. I guess Clemson players, went to lay on top of him to keep him from getting up. And then that bench is cleared, people throwing helmets, South Carolina State troopers out there with it turned into a 3-6 Mafia concert. It turned into a damn Little John concert. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. I think some helmet swinging was going on. Yeah, and then it says the iconic image of the brawl of Clemson's Yusef Kelly kicking a helmetless South Carolina player in the head. It was
ugly.
It was ugly. It was ugly. And the funny thing about it was the night before, guess what happened? In the NBA, they had the Malice at the Palace the night before. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Clemson and Carolina literally beating the hell out of each other, and they said, you know what? You think you're going to a bowl game? You're not going bowl. No one went to a bowl game, and it was bad.
I think that was self-imposed by both universities.
Yeah, by both teams, and it was just like there's something I've never seen before. I'm sitting with my beer in my hand, like, oh, they fighting. Oh, this is really happening. Why Savell? Get up, Savell. I'm drunk. Get up, Savell. Get up. I'm just a bit of a mess. And I mean, Clemson, they beat the brakes off us. It was 29-7. They beat us soundly. And at the time, the coaches were Lou Holtz and Tommy Bowden. And I'm reading something here. It says the fight overshadowed the last game in which Lou Holtz participated as South Carolina head coach. As he retired at the end of the season, Holtz quoted that he is going to be remembered along with Woody Hayes for having to fight at the Clemson game, which is a callback to the 1978 Gator Bowl. Yeah, and then Steve Spurrier took over. Clemson won the game 29-7. But the following year, the Kiss made up, and here we are now.
Yep. I've forgotten all about that. That's crazy.
Oh, it was UGLY. You ain't got no Alabama. That was ugly, man.
It was super ugly. Scottie D, you got yours in too, right?
Oh, yeah, we're ready to roll, buddy. We're good.
Okay, we're ready to roll. All right, with that being said, Scottie D, what's on tap for next week's Choices of the Voices?
All right, we're going to just turn our attention to the Heisman and just ask you to tell us who is your all-time favorite Heisman Trophy winner. I'll leave this kind of broad and let you decide how you want to do it, because for a guy like me, a perfect Heisman winner would be a guy who would win the Heisman at Pitt and then win a Super Bowl with the Cowboys. That actually happened, Tony Dorsett. But I'm not going to choose him because I was too young to watch Tony Dorsett play at Pitt. So I'm going to limit myself to someone that I watched play as far as favorite. But, like Max, Jay Berwanger, he won the first ever Heisman in 1935 in Uncle Max's freshman year at college. So we could, something like that. You can pick anybody from that era or new era, somebody new or old. Yeah, he's in the hospital, but he's not immune to old guy jokes.
That's why I was like, I didn't do it. I promise you, Uncle Max, it wasn't me. I had nothing to do with nothing.
Oh man. But anyway, pick however you want to phrase it for yourself. You're just looking for your favorite Heisman Trophy winner, and that'll give us something to talk about next week. Eddy Kool.
All right, coming right up, we got a round of pepper. I already told you what to do. Pepper coming right up after this.
Okay, boys, let's bring it home with a round of pepper.
All right, you heard the woman. It's time for us to do what I call go home and get the hell up out of here. But first, we got a round of pepper. You know how we do it. 3 topics, rapid fire style, kind of sort of, not really here to engage, enlighten, educate, and entertain. There was a 5th E, but I can't think about it right now. But with that being said, I'll go first, all right? On this day in history, back in 1970, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they got their first home victory, beating the Buffalo Braves 108-106. So yeah, the Cleveland Cavs got their first home victory. But also, I just saw something else that I can't let go as well, too. Also on this day in history, back in 1973, the National League votes to move the San Diego Padres to Washington, D.C. And as we saw, that never happened. So that's that. Over to you, Scottie D.
Okay, so we had a little bit of hot stove action beginning. Trey Turner, late of the Dodgers, who will be 30 next June, just signed a $300 million contract for 11 years with the Philadelphia Phillies, paying him about $27.3 annually right now, ballpark. 11 years and $300 million. They actually said they gave him more years than they was expecting, just to bring the annual salary down a little bit. Pairing Trey Turner up with JT Realmuto and Bryce Harper, it shows that the Phillies are all in. They got a little taste of success in the World Series this last year, and they want to keep it going. In the meantime, the Mets lose Jacob deGrom, but counter by signing Justin Verlander. So the National League East is wheeling and dealing. The Mets are trying to not let Philly get ahead of them. And also of note, the Pirates signed 36-year-old Carlos Santana, who hit 192 for the Mariners last year in 79 games. So that's what the Pirates are doing at free agency. Yeah. The Phillies across the state get Trey Turner for $300 million. The Buccos get Carlos Santana at age 36. Nice. Be live, over to you.
Oh, man, that's just classic. My first pepper point. If you know anybody that is so I'm gonna phrase it better this way. If you are a North Carolina Tar Heel fan between the dates of November 25th and December 5th, 2022, you may be entitled to compensation.
Oh boy.
Because this has been a rough go for it the past 11 days. Losing to Clemson in the ACC championship 39-10, losing in men's basketball to Iowa State 70-55 in the Phil Knight Invitational semifinal, losing to Alabama 103-101 in the Phil Knight Invitational third place game, losing to Indiana 77-65 in the ACC Big Ten Challenge, losing to Virginia Tech 80-72 in the first game of the ACC conference play. God. But there is one caveat. As it stands right now, you have North Carolina versus UCLA in the women's soccer national championship. And North Carolina is winning 2-1 in the 80th minute against UCLA. This is happening right now as we speak.
As we're
recording. They do not have swords. But North Carolina women's soccer might end this nasty losing streak of North Carolina Tar Heel athletics with the national championship. We shall see. Eddy Kool, the ball.
The ball. And I'm going to try not to bounce off my nose. All right. So, in most of the country, high school football is wrapping up their seasons with a lot of state championships. Shout out to St. Edwards of Lakewood, who won their second consecutive high school Division I championship, and the Glenville Tarblooders, and their head coach is Ted Ginn Sr. Yeah, so he finally gets his first high school state title. Meanwhile, in Alabama, Auburn, Alabama, get familiar with the name of Trent Seaborn, right? Trent Seaborn is an 8th grade quarterback who won the MVP of the AHSAA Super 7 Class 7A state championship game, all right, after his Warriors, the Thompson Warriors, defeated Auburn 49-24 on Wednesday night. It's the 4th straight title for Thompson, all right? Trent Seaborn ain't number 14 years old, y'all.
Wow. Was that the 8? Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. 14 years old. He had a pretty good night. Turbo 14 for 207 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception. All right. So Seaborn, he took over late in the season for an injured Zach Sims, who received offers from Louisville and Pittsburgh earlier this year, according to 24/7 Sports. Seaborn finished, this courtesy of the Alabama Montgomery Advertiser. Seaborn finished with 1,181 yards, 14 touchdowns on 71.4% passing this season. And in 8th grade, he already has offers from Maryland, Troy, Northern Colorado, and I'm pretty sure that's going to change. Thompson coach Mark Freeman said, "I've been blessed with good quarterbacks. I met this guy in the 3rd grade. We threw the ball together. I knew he was a special person then." Well, hell, the boy got to be special. He in the 8th grade, took to the state championship. Ooh, boy, think about it. So he in the 8th grade now, so he got another 4 more years to do this. So, yeah, shout out to Trent Seaborn doing some big things. Over to you, Scottie D.
Okay. This past Saturday night, Kevin Holland took on Wonder Boy Stephen Thompson in a UFC welterweight fight that was one of the best of the year. These guys, if you guys, just to refresh you, Kevin Holland is a guy, African-American guy who talks the whole time he fights. Not really trash talking, but buddy talking. So him and Wonder Boy Thompson went into this fight with an unwritten agreement that neither guy would take the other down. And if they did, they would just stand back up and strike again, which has been widely criticized now by Michael Bisping, saying this is mixed martial arts. This isn't just boxing. And Kevin Holland, you cost yourself a lot of maybe some money and a chance at a future title shot, because Kevin Holland actually broke his hand, cracked 3 knuckles early in that fight, and was able to really defend himself. And he didn't come out for the 5th round. After 4 rounds, he had enough of taking Wonderboy Thompson strikes. This is kind of like some of these other past fighters, guys like Nate Diaz and Robbie Lawler. Kevin Holland's an entertaining fighter who is going to go over, as they say in the wrestling business, win or lose, and he's a favorite of the fans. So I'm not sure about that. But coming up this Saturday night, Jan Blachowicz and Magomed Ankalaev will be fighting for the light heavyweight championship. And guys, I told you guys earlier this year that I thought we had this Russian wave coming. And I think this is going to be the first of the Russian fighters to start taking titles. Got Kazma Chimaev in the welterweight division. He's getting a championship next year. And Islam Makhachev in the lightweight division. He'll get a championship next year, I believe. I think by the end of next year, all 3 these Russian fighters will be title holders. And I think it's going to start this weekend. The final UFC pay-per-view of the year, Jan Blachowicz and Ankalaev taking place this Saturday night, UFC 282. Been a great year for UFC. A lot of upsets and crazy stuff. It's been a fun year. Be Live, over to you.
All right. My second pepper point is a celebratory tone because the contemporary baseball era committee has made a decision. And after many years of not making the ballot, all these talks about all these players and all this controversy and steroid era and all this blah, 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 the Contemporary Veterans Committee voted one player to make it into the Hall of Fame unanimously, and it's been a long time coming. He deserves to be in there. The crime dog, Fred McGriff, is now a Hall of Famer, and deservedly so.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately for some other people, you might have thought I was talking about somebody else, and I was not, because Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens didn't even get 4 votes. You need 12 votes to make it in, and they will not be considered until 2025. Fred McGriff, all he's done, he's hit 30 or more homers in a season for 5 different franchises, including Toronto Blue Jays, San Diego Padres, and Atlanta Braves, Tampa Bay Rays, and Chicago Cubs. He was a key member of the 1995 Braves team that won it all. Yes, sir. Homering twice in the Fall Classic against the Cleveland Indians, Guardians, no-name roller derby team. All right, Eddy Kool. The ball.
That's hilarious. All right, my third and final pepper point. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Hey, it's the holiday season. Be nice to each other. All right? Especially when it comes to conversations. Let's keep conversations cool. Let's keep it even. We're just trying to get together. We're trying to hang out and have fun. Let's not belittle nobody about what they look like, about what they got going on, because you never know. A year from now, some people could not be here. So with that being said, just be nice to each other during this holiday season. It could go a long way. Over to you, Scottie D.
Yeah, Be Live. Okay, so speaking of guys not being nice, there's no update on the Antonio Brown situation. He wasn't nice last week, and he threw his shoe at a woman. And there's a domestic warrant issued for him, domestic battery. And I guess they went to serve it at his house, and he wouldn't come out of the house, and they didn't go in after him. So as of right now, who knows what's going on with that? Antonio Brown, another guy that's just like self-destructing. He just won't go away. But, guy, get some help. Antonio, get some help. It's the holidays. Be Live.
My third and final pepper point, and I'm going to split it up into 2 because something just happened, and I got to announce it the best way I know how to do it. My third and final pepper point is very simple. The NBA is cracking down on traveling calls.
Aha.
Finally, after all this time, they're looking into the whole 0 step and the whole establishing the pivot foot. There's been an uptick in traveling calls. And to the delight of us traditionalists, about freaking time. Let's just call it like it should be. Learn the way it's supposed to be played.
Steph.
Yeah.
Harden.
Yep.
Who comes back tonight, by the way.
But I don't know if you fellas have heard this recently when it comes to the announcer's curse, when people be talking about something that hasn't happened and then it happens right after they talk about it. As I've been talking, UCLA just scored and is now tied 2-2, and the game is going into overtime.
Should have gone right to penalty kick shootout, like I suggested. We could have saved all this time.
And swords.
God, and it gets swords. Oh my God! North Carolina women's soccer find a way. They scored. UCLA scored a goal with 15 seconds to go. They don't have a running clock, so there was 15 seconds left, and they scored off of a corner kick headed right into the net. It's going into overtime. Please, for the sake of all Tar Heel fans in the world, somehow, please win this game.
I got to go watch it.
Scottie D.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
And in closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can, do something nice for someone else. They'll greatly appreciate it now more than ever. Take care of each other. Love each other. It's the holidays. It's been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. Be live. Take us home.
Uncle Max, get better. Yes, sir.
We missed y'all. We're back. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to the Sports Bros Podcast. Hey, it's Eddy Kool here from the Sports Bros Podcast. And do you want some more of the Sports Bros Podcast in your life? Wait a minute, don't answer that. The answer is yes. And I know you want some more of the Sports Bros Podcast in your life. Do us a small favor. Go to the description box, click our Linktree link, and you'll see all the links on how to follow the Sports Bros Podcast. Once again, thanks for listening.